Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Public Health and Community Service Committee meeting August 1st at 8:30. If I get a roll call, please.
Hendricks. Ness.
Yes.
Shorten.
Here.
Van Hoff.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
Altoff.
Here.
Von Bergen.
Here. Thank you.
make
Good
first.
morning, Kelly. Could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion to let her in.
Ms. Altoff to let Ms. Wagner into the meeting, seconded by Mr. Shorten. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carries.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Good to keep your germs at home.
Thank you. We all appreciate that. Any public comments?
There is none.
There is none. No public comments. And moving on to member comments. Any member comments? Ms. Ness.
I had the Lake County, I'm not sure what his position is, read about the workforce housing report in the paper and asked for a copy of it. So I had Alicia send him a copy of the report. They are very interested in our process. And I'm also presenting on the Oswego panel on Tuesday. I'm not literally presenting the workforce report, I'm really presenting our process. They're very interested in the collaboration that we created between the county board and the community at large. And so I also said, well, the workforce report is on, you can take a look at that. They read our report, they were so impressed with what we did, how we did it, and
It was the food, Lou. It was just the food.
and that we did it in the time frame that we said we would do it. And so I'm going to be on that panel Tuesday representing the county's process. So I just want to let you know, like from that first conversation, how this is getting traction in the community through the Northwest Herald's articles and our website posting of the report. I think that's, and I also know that it's been presented to the Speaker of the House through somebody I know personally, who is quite impressed with the report and its readability. So that was
My heart.
Yeah, so I wanted to give you that feedback, Tracy, because it started here.
Thank you.
And, yeah.
No, we thank you.
Yesterday morning, I belong to the Manufacturing Pathways Consortium, which is about 92 manufacturers and educators and such, trying to get people involved in manufacturing. And I did also put the report out on Slack so they can all see it, and kind of addressed it briefly at our morning meeting at the college yesterday. So.
That's great. I think it's everything we hoped for. The question I'm getting is, what are you doing next? And I said, well, we're in conversation about that. Like the what.
That's why I shared that, it's kind of in the hands of the McHenry County Council of Governments right now. And they're going to be kind of developing an action plan in September, October, and go from there. And likely have some legislative initiatives that we pursue, along with just getting it in front of the municipalities themselves as we move into the winter.
And I would just say that, again, law and government will bring something forward legislatively about trying to streamline that process. But I again, maybe future topic, I'd like to talk about, again, what maybe that task force or what this committee can do with working with our employers, McHenry County employers, manufacturing, because that constantly came up as well as how in the past, many employers worked with the local unit of government to provide incentives for housing, which made it a little bit easier to develop. So, and I don't think that that's in the hands of the shared services. I think that's more in our hands. So yeah, I'd like to pursue that. And we had the McHenry EDC indicated that they would be interested in doing something like that too.
One of the remarks one of the comments that was made was how many elected people were on the work group. And I said, only the chair and the co-chair. Everybody was a subject matter expert in their own field, brought to the table, selected for a very specific expertise in the area that we were looking for. And, you know, people said, do you think that was that better? And I was just like, it's just what we did. I don't know if it would be, I don't know. I just said we were very careful that anybody that sat at the table had expanded our knowledge on the development of workforce housing. And our role, Pam's role and my role, was just to keep us focused and on track. That's
Pulling each other back from the edge.
yeah, so I don't know, you know, so it's interesting. Kendall County is not partnered with Oswego on these projects that they're putting in right now. And so I think they're hoping that I will talk about the benefit of having the county as a partner in this work and what value that can bring to it. So
I think the fact, though, that we ran it by the committee on a regular monthly basis,
Yes.
that also kept us in line. So maybe it was just 2 people on the committee, but obviously a lot more eyes looking at what we were doing and then the final report as well before it went to the full board.
absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, so I'm going to be your little ambassador. I'm getting mileage. They're paying me mileage. They don't really need to do that, but
That's nice.
they want to, so I'll take it.
Okay, Gloria.
Yes, I had the pleasure of going to Page County last week to visit their child visitation center and child advocacy. They have them both combined in a building there, and it's just state of the art. It is run by government employees, and they have 13 employees there. 2 are attorneys, budget of $1 million, and it's amazing. It's really amazing, and we understand that Kane County is going to come and take a look at it too. It's just really something that's state of the art. It's a beautiful facility, and you know, they can do the court-appointed mediation there. It's just an amazing center. So working with kids in need and hoping to expand their visitation center to where it includes something like this. But it was great to go over there and get ideas. And I like that we do that we work with other counties and they come, just like they were looking at the report that you 2 just finished up. So it's really amazing because we can learn from others, and I like it when we do that. We're not reading it to anyone else. So this was great.
Kelly, did you have any member comments?
Not today, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no more member comments, move on to new business. And we have Dr. Mike Szurek here to interview for the Board of Health. Thank you for coming in. And
I think you're more than anybody at this table.
Everybody smile.
Come on.
That's right.
So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in the position, and then we'll allow for a few minutes of questions from committee members.
I saw that there was a need for a dentist on the board, so I decided to apply for it. And I have done this in the past. And so several people have actually recommended me several times for this. And I know there was a vacancy for quite some time. So I decided to go ahead and get back on the board.
In all candor, I'll jump in. We begged. We begged. There was a big effort by an outreach from the Board of Health, and we had contacted numerous people. We had a dentist, and unfortunately, he relocated. So that position remained vacant for many, many months. And every dentist I talked to, and by the way, I just got another implant, so I talked to a lot of dentists, recommended doctor. So I called and begged, and he graciously agreed. So I really think under the circumstances, and we have to have a dentist on the board. So thank you very much, truly.
You're welcome.
Greatly appreciated that you would come back and provide some guidance, so thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Having said that, we have
for-
Well, I will say that dental health is the doorway to whole health. And I'm really glad to see that you were willing to step up and put that on the table for the Board of Health, because I know how hard it is, and I know that public service is often not recognized and acknowledged as it should. So I just want to acknowledge your contribution and your generosity. Thank you very much for doing this.
Go one step further, also serves on the McHenry County Conservation District as well. So this is a true public servant.
All right. Yeah. Quick, before he leaves the room.
That's right.
Yeah. Any other questions or Mr. Shorten?
You haven't put your house up for sale in the past 20 minutes?
The thought has occurred to me.
I'd just like to thank you for stepping up. That's really, really noble of you. And I know how busy everyone is, and we have you on 2 committees now. So let's go ahead and get him on board before he changes his mind.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I personally can say he's a great guy, great dentist, great tractor driver, great conservationist. So with that, I think we can move to 5.2 for the deliberation, which.
I'll make a motion to appoint Dr. Szurek to the Board of Health in the vacancy of dental position.
Second by Mr. Hendricks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries.
Welcome.
Thank you,
again.
thank you.
That-
You
That's
are-
something I normally say to dentists,
I know.
painless.
Yes. Although he's very giving with the gas, so.
There you go, see?
So painless isn't really.
Understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'll be emailed and whatever.
Yes,
Okay.
and with details
The
on.
Department of Public Health
Yep.
will reach out, yay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you will, Kathy will.
Yes. So you are free to go about your busy day.
Or hang out.
I'll get back to my busy day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
much.
you, Mike.
Tracy, can we move back up to minutes?
Did I not get a vote? Okay, I apologize. We had a first and a second, and,
No, we didn't have anything. We
We
just
didn't.
voted Ms. Wagner in.
okay, I apologize for that. Could I get a motion to
She did.
approve?
You did motion.
I
For the
thought I
minutes?
did.
Not
And
from the
Hendrick
minutes.
second.
No?
The motion
No.
was
Well,
second
let's
that we
just-
did.
I
was
don't
for
think so.
ourselves.
Let's just do it again.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Shorten makes the motion, Ms. Ness seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Twice voted.
Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Okay, next up, routine consent agenda. Are there any items anyone would like removed from the routine consent agenda?
Then I'll make a motion to approve the routine consent agenda as presented.
It's seconded by Ms. Van Hoff. Could I get a roll call, please?
Wagner,
Yes.
Van Hoff,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Ness,
Yes.
Shorten,
Yes.
Altough,
Yes.
Von Bergen.
Yes. Thank you. Seeing no old business, we'll move on to presentations by Mr. Hans Mock on the homeless motel shelter.
Hi, good morning, everyone. For the record, Hans Mock, Community Development Administrator, and I'll make this pretty quick. I'm looking just for direction from the committee about allocating some funds toward motel shelters before we get to winter. It seems like the issue surfaces in December when it starts to get cold, and maybe Pioneer doesn't have money for motel vouchers and things like that. At this time, we believe that we can eke out funds from our former program that we had under our community development COVID funds, as well as some ERA, which is emergency rental assistance funds. We believe we have between $5,000 and $10,000 that we can allocate to Pioneer. The reason I'm coming here is typically we would make that competitive. In this case, I think it's just, rather than run into the issue, we want to be proactive here. We have the funds now. This is certainly a Band-Aid for this year. But as we get into next year, we may not have the funds like this. So just coming to you now, and we know that we can spend those funds through the end of 2025.
Do they typically, do the hotels that work with us, do they give us any kind of benefit, or do we pay the normal room rates?
They usually are a little lower, actually, because when we did that sheltering in 2020 with all the homeless individuals, and particularly if it's a week long, they definitely cut the rates down then. But they're way below like the GSA, Government Services Administration rates, which are around $96 a day.
And we haven't had any complaints from those participating hotels, motels that have played in the, okay.
Yeah, I would say that there's bad actors every now and then. It's like the typical population, but there have been issues from time to time.
Woodstock we've had significant issues in Woodstock. I mean, I don't know how you mitigate that except intense case management. And so who's going to case manage individuals placed in hotels?
That's the role of Pioneer Center.
Well, I don't think they're doing a really great job. I just want to say that. Have you looked at Warp Court? Because they have that outreach program.
Yes, and they're another, actually, that's how this all surfaced. I'm glad you brought that up. So Warp Court actually was interested in motel shelter funding, and so the director of the mental health board came to me and said, well, can they get these funds? And I said, well, okay, why don't they just work with Pioneer, because Pioneer has funds, and that's when we learned they were out of funds. And so I believe that Warp Court can work with them. We'd be perfectly willing to talk to them about it.
They're doing the street outreach. That's why I think Pioneer does not do street outreach. They have to go to Pioneer. Pioneer doesn't go on the street with the individual.
So I would ask that if ultimately we're going to provide funds to supplement Pioneer, that a conversation be had that mentions all of that, because obviously we're not in the management of those programs, right? We're just providing finances, but maybe there can be a little, connection that if we're going to provide you some additional resources, and that's why I asked the question, these are some of the complaints that have come through. Can you make sure that you're a little bit sensitive to working with Warp Core and working with, because I wasn't assuming we would somehow take over any complaints. I wanted to be aware of it and make that comment to Pioneer so that maybe case management is better.
I think the case management in hotels has to be different than on site. I know Woodstock they use the Super 8, and it's been, people call me, and then we have, people begging for money on the street, and there's really not much. I just think, and I know from personal experience, you can case manage somebody for 24 hours a day and it won't work. But I do believe that to support the municipalities who are providing housing for these individuals, that we could go, to me, case management is exactly what I think it is, and it's more than showing up in the morning and maybe you're every other day, so that's why I think an outreach program, a group that works on the street, that I know that Warp Core goes to the tent cities. Once a week, they're out there, twice a week, helping individuals, and I just think they're a better fit for this than Pioneer, because you go to Pioneer. Warp Core goes to the individual to help them. I don't even know if they want to do this, but
I trust Hans enough to say if he's going to give money that, also discusses some of the conversation that was had here.
I really like that you're being proactive and looking at this now rather than waiting until the fall when it's getting close to being cold. Now, as you know, Compassion for Campers does that too. And when you said you only have about $10,000, you know, I personally paid out of pocket for a hotel room for, you know, individuals and through Compassion for Campers. And it was like, you know, person needed a room right then, you know. And so that's something that they raise funds for, and they are, you know, we have very little emergency money for things like that, but we do the best we can. So I agree, just giving all the funding to Pioneer Center is not going to target those people that don't get into that slot of care with them. Because we were on the phone with Pioneer Center, and this particular individual had been with them, and she could go back to them, but she had to go through some steps before she could get there, and she needed housing right then. I mean, it was like, and winter, so.
So Member Wagner has her hand up.
Thank you. Thanks, Hans, for doing this. Again, I know that this is something that you've been working on for many years, and when I first heard about it, it was at 2020, when we went to all the churches and collected like $12,000 between the churches. So so first of all, are you using the same hotels this year that you did last year?
That would be the common one that's used is the Woodstock Super 8. And from time to time, I think there's another one in McHenry that gets used. But realistically, it's just Woodstock.
Okay, and are there enough hotel rooms, if you base it on last winter, which I know it's hard because every winter is different, were there enough hotel rooms last winter?
There were, what we have an annual, what they call point in time count that needs to occur in the last 10 days in January. We got a waiver from HUD to do it slightly before that time. And so that happened to be a time when we had a really bad cold snap, but there was enough capacity in the motel to manage that. There were a lot of people at that time, so our pit count numbers went way up as a result of that. That's why I can speak to that.
Okay, and do you think what you have, the money that you're requesting, is enough? Because you could probably always go back to St. Vincent de Paul they seem to be well-funded and donate money to this.
Yeah, no, I can talk to Bill as well. I think, you know, what's coming out of this group is probably that we need to pull the parties all together now. Between now and when I come back to you at the meeting at the end of the month with like a sort of an allocation plan, I think we pull all the parties together because Compassion for Campers, for example, is funded with CDBG as of October 1st. So really excited about that we have some resources for them because they've been trying to pull it out from everywhere.
That was great. Thank you so much for the work that
the commission for sure.
You did with them. It was a first-time application, and I know it was a little scary for them, so thank you for everything that you did.
And we'll guide them through that, so definitely. But yeah, I'll pull the parties together between now and then. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I like that idea, but what I'm hearing is there's also been problems in the hotels. So we need to be careful that the government is not funding something that's actually being disruptive to the rest of the public, although we do need to shelter these people in the extreme cold. So just like a lot of our programs, I would like to see a plan. So when you get them together, a plan of who is going to be doing the caseworkers or the caseworking. We know the police officers are usually the ones that bring them to the hotels because it's after 10 o'clock when the shelter's closed or they're at capacity. But also kind of an accountability. So I know we have talked many times, when we look at the program, we want to see how successful it is and the results of that. So I know that's a big ask right now, but I think just for future planning, that way we can keep our eye on what's going on and make sure that this is being done correctly and everybody's taken care of, but there's not, I guess, a public nuisance.
But the problem, Kelly, I would think, is that we don't do the program. We just provide the funds.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, before we say a plan, maybe that's again, a hook that we provide or we attach to the giving of the funds, is to ask Pioneer before they get the funds to provide a program or a plan, a strategy of exactly how they intend to work with other partners and how they intend to manage something.
Well,
I think that would
Yes.
cover it better, yay?
Or
That's
if,
probably what I was trying to say in a roundabout way, so
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I got it.
or if it's going to someone other than Pioneer, look at their application and see what their plan is for, ensuring that, not calling it case management, but just, what kind of plan do you have in place to make sure that you're not just giving this money to someone who's not going to be respectful?
I'm gonna tell you, okay, I'm gonna back up here. The people that end up in hotels and motels are typically uncooperative, do not work in a congregate setting. They don't care about accountability and rules. And the first goal of the program is so they don't freeze to death on the street in the middle of the night, or they're intoxicated and they need a couple of days and they'll be out on the street and then they'll be back. We have a responsibility to provide some level of safety for individuals whose competency to make those kinds of decisions have disappeared inside chronic mental illness, chronic homelessness, and substance use disorder. Otherwise, we're scraping dead bodies off the street. So I don't know how an outcome looks for this population, because if they could make it, they would be in a program. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So I feel like if we meet with the city of Woodstock, because we had a family reunion and they stayed at the Super 8 Motel. Holy moly, Batman. I was just like, they were like, do you know what happened there last night? Like, no, like what's going on? Oh, geez Louise. So maybe, whatever we can do, it's in my district. I'm willing to partner with you in the city and just help navigate that, because case management doesn't always.
I'm gonna do it again. This isn't our program.
I know that.
This is funds. I don't want, I mean, this is where we cross the line too many times. It's not our job to do that. So mine is if we're not happy with what we see, what we're getting for our dollars, then deal with that.
I agree and disagree with you, but yeah, I feel like it's in my district. I get the complaints. And so I feel.
Then I would say that that's a conversation with Pioneer and whatever, but at this particular point, I don't want our staff, the county staff, to spend more time on something than, we already have enough to do, so.
Well, yes, I hear what you're saying, and it's our money. And I don't want an unrealistic expectation set on any provider that they can really manage somebody. I'm just saying it, and I'll let it go, and Hans, you'll come back to us. We'll have this debate later on, not on public record.
And now, if we have someone in Crystal Lake, we're not going to Woodstock. We use the Super 8 in Crystal Lake.
But it might be better to bundle it up. It might be better. Case management would be so much easier if we bundled it up.
That was my question. How many, people do we anticipate this would serve?
It's all fluctuating based on, the weather. So what we saw, at the pit count, was a large number, 50-something people on that particular night that they did the count. However, I think we've had a couple of mild winters, relatively speaking. We're due for a really bad winter at some point here. I don't know if it's going to be this year or the next year or whatever, but we just haven't had one of the winters where it's been nonstop cold for long periods of time.
And that 50 count, that's countywide or just Woodstock region?
That's the countywide.
Countywide?
And the majority of them were at the Super 8.
Okay.
That's because that's where the camp is.
Yeah. Thank you, Hans.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, yeah, we'll come back with something good for you, I promise.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up we have budget reviews for the Veterans Assistance Commission. Mr. Iwaniki, could join us, please?
And Carrie is online. She's
And Carrie. Hi, Carrie.
keeping her COVID at home also.
Oh, no.
I better start landscaping.
Oh.
I'll try to drag this out as long as I possibly can.
Thank you.
So as with last year, we're below the 02%. We did have one position we thought we had filled later this year. I'm still debating on how we should fill that. Probably a couple of the bigger changes is we are looking at contracting with a company similar to like what public health has done to find out how we can better reach our constituents, our clients. The other one is changing the front door at the entrance to where we're at. We've got those big glass panels that have been there for 20 years. And we have people in wheelchairs banging into those things constantly. And I'm just waiting for one of those to shatter. So we decided that I think it was best to move forward and kind of redesign that entrance, and that's worked into the budget. So two of the items in the budget are hopefully one and dones. And we're not going to build a building. If I could throw my 2 cents in on the homeless, we actually work with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. We have an agreement with them. If they run into somebody who's homeless from McHenry County, they put them in the hotel and we pay for it.
Great.
So there's that, and then we had problems over at Super 8 with somebody, at least I have somebody I can yell at when that happens, which is usually the people at the VA.
So if we come across someone in our community that's a veteran and they need a place to stay for the night, we can get a hold of you?
Yep.
All right. That's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you.
Now, we got a couple different ways of doing it. The VA is our primary. Usually they go to the VA, we'll have veterans who will go to the VA looking for help because they don't know where to go, and for whatever reason, they don't know we're here. And then we've got them reaching out to the posts. The posts know what to do, and they can contact me, and there's a fund we have to put them up directly through our office. So we can do that as well. And then Veterans Path the Hope, if they have a need to put somebody into a hotel for a period of time while they get them ready to come into their New Horizons shelter, sometimes they'll contact us to put somebody up.
I'm going to tell you, Mike, I'm a Legion commander, and I didn't know that we could get nights paid for through the VAC.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Maybe you should have talked to your service officer.
I didn't know, you're right. I mean, I had no idea. We just had a call 2 weeks ago. They ran they ran beyond their time at Veterans Path to Hope, and we couldn't find funding for a night or two. But now that you're on my radar, you're on my radar, so.
Oh, I should have been on your radar in the first place.
Well, I don't think all the posts know what you just told me.
They're supposed to, and there's been a lot of changes. You're one of the
Yes.
changes, so.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something that we gotta bring
Yeah.
up again at the VAC meetings. And
Well,
one
I'm
of the
not
biggest.
on the VAC. Thank
But
the
you have a
Lord.
representative on the VAC board.
There's obviously, there's a lack of communication somewhere that you guys need to fix. That's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say.
No, the representatives to the VAC from each of the posts are supposed to bring all this information back. And it's whether or not they communicate that with us. I can't make people communicate.
No, but I
But
think
I can
just a.
send posts messages, which I do all the time. So.
No, I don't want to put you on the defensive. What I'm
Don't
saying
put me on the
is that
defensive.
as a new commander, I had no idea that I could get this help, but thank you. So now I do know.
Well, now you know to come down to my office right after this meeting and we'll sit down and talk.
I don't, yuck.
And I'll only keep you there a couple hours.
Thank you so much.
Another big thing we're doing, and our goal is to reach 150 people. We teamed up with NAMI to do mental health first aid. One of the things I said early on when I talked to this body last time is we're doing this. I don't care who in the county learns it because maybe they're a vet, maybe they're not a vet, but chances are they know a vet. And if we're gonna take care of any of these problems with suicide and mental health issues, we have to be proactive with it. And thank you, Lou, for being one of the instructors and getting out there and doing it. Now I gotta do it.
I want to tell you, the VAC has been exceptionally generous about supporting this mental health first aid training. It is exceptional. It's exceptional. Mike and the VAC have, I can't say enough about how much they've supported NAMI. They're funding it. They're helping NAMI fund this. And so seriously, anybody, it's 9 to 3 on August 20th. Mike has generously opened it up to anybody who wants to take the training. I invite members of this committee to consider taking it so you know what the VAC is funding and you can talk about it, promote it. I can't, because I gave you so much grief on the homeless stuff. The VAC is a leader in the veteran community in this state in this. And I want to acknowledge you for doing that.
And I need to reach out to Work Court. You reminded me of that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. Thank you, Mike, for doing that.
I do notice I got this bald spot that's showing up on there. The camera shows bald spots really well.
Just say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did anybody have any questions on his budget or goal?
Do you want to talk a little bit about personnel and your plan moving forward with regard to that?
We got a plan that would add 2 more offices to our existing office. Right now, the cost to implement that plan is about $477,000. If we should call to move it forward, right now the commission is not interested in moving it forward, and frankly, neither am I. I don't think we need to yet, but I can't vouch for the future. Right now, what we have is we've got 3 service officers, which are the 2 veteran service officers, the assistant superintendent, and then myself. I'm also a service officer. I don't do as much work in that field as everybody else does. Then we have a clerk, and that clerk helps us with the transportation issues, with making sure the phones are answered, with scheduling the service officers, and then we have an office coordinator who is working with helping put together the reports, making sure everything is put into our different software, and doing some of the HR work that's required as far as managing payroll. And then right now we're also looking for another service officer. We're slated to get another service officer. We've held that off because we want to make sure the new people are on track the exact same way, that everybody's doing things exactly the same way. And once we have that, then we're going to hire the new one. We're looking probably putting that out in September. And then the other one was going to be more of an outreach type service officer. That type of person will be reaching out into the community and working from locations such as the townships. I've long talked about having office hours at certain townships during parts of the week to make it more convenient. Talked to McHenry. I may have talked to you when you were out there. I mean, this program goes back to 2005 when we first started it. But that's what we're trying to do, is get closer, because not everybody can make it during our normal office hours. That's why we have extended hours. That's why we're able to do outreach in the first place, why we have the equipment to do outreach. So those whose working hours or disabilities make it impossible for them to get here, we can go to them. And right now there's a push, and the Attorney General reminded us, apparently there's organizations that are getting into the nursing homes and getting their families to apply for benefits and then charging them to do that. And I know the Attorney General's office is working on one right now that happened in this county, and they reached out to us and say, you need to reach out to the nursing homes again. We used to be a lot more
Public, yeah.
yeah, we used to be very big on that, and we kind of let that slide a little bit because I thought everybody knows now, and it's starting up again. So we're going to start up again to make sure we're doing presentations at these nursing homes ourselves to counter some of these organizations that are trying to do it. And the law is you can't file VA claims and claim you're an accredited service officer if the VA didn't accredit you. And that goes for attorneys as well. The attorney has to be accredited as well.
Pam?
Related,
Oh,
do all supervisors do outreach? Is that the standard model for VAC, or is that you? And if that's you, is there a succession plan that you have kind of sort of in place for your position? And what does that mean? I mean, I don't know.
the succession plan right now, well, Keith, Keith is the assistant superintendent in the office. I'd love for there to be a perfect succession plan, but there isn't. Right now, the commission has got a committee that they're putting together to recruit a new superintendent. Because it's well known at the end of 2025, I'm retiring. And so this next year, this next budget round is going to be the end. I do know that this is also known at the State Association of VACs, and that there are assistant superintendents and probably superintendents from smaller ones who just haven't reached out to me yet that are interested in the position and are qualified to take it. The commission is just trying to make a determination on how they're going to vet the people when they come through. They've already spoke with HR about what the county can do to help us find somebody to do that. They spoke with me, and they spoke with the president of the State Association of VACs about moving this forward.
So you're prepared and you're ready and we're moving forward. So again, my question is it standard for someone in your position to do case management outreach, or is that just something that you do on your own? Do we expect, I mean, I'm trying to think of moving forward in personnel, and is that the norm, or?
Is that going to be part of the new job description?
The new job description, okay. Okay. The new job description, they're going to expect the person to be able to prosecute a claim before a judge at the VA. That's one of the things. They're going to be expecting this person to be able to do all the things that I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. So they want it to be seamless. Now, is this person going to be me? No. Chances are they're going to change the office and adapt it to how they need it, like any other department had. But yeah, they expect this person to have at least the same qualifications that I have. And I know the one who already turned in his resume, and the commission said, excuse me, you're a year early. I know that individual is qualified, but it's up to the commission to decide who they want to have, who they want to work with on this. So yes, in terms of outreach and all these other things, they're going to be expected to be able to do the same thing.
Okay.
And Saturday hours is part of the discussion, just like it was when I was a thing. They said 24/7, I have to be available.
Ms. Nass.
I hope they don't do that.
And just to follow up on Pam's question,
Sure,
is there a need to review the job description to make sure that, because you probably have done some things that were not in the original job description. So I know from time to time it's a good idea to go back and look at does this still serve us? Do we need to add some things? Do we need to take some things away, split up duties? So do you think that there is a need to review the job description and make sure?
That's a good point. We're one step ahead of you, Gloria.
Okay.
That was actually done in 2022.
Okay,
When they went on their own, when the commission voted for a particular pay system, they had to have all these other things in place. So yes, there is a good job description and it has been amended for the VAC. I think all those job descriptions, as with any good business, should be reviewed as things change.
right.
And, you know, the VSO positions were changed along the years. You know, admittedly, the superintendent one was not, because nobody thought I was ever gonna leave. Yeah, that got changed in 2022 and it's being kept up to date.
Okay, and just one other question. You said something about adding one more veteran service officer, so would your full-time equivalents go from 10.5 to 11.5?
No, that includes that because we lost a service officer.
Okay,
Before we brought a new one on, we wanted to make sure that the new people we had already, the youngins,
okay,
were doing things the same way as the other two service officers, meaning myself and the assistant superintendent.
Okay.
We want everybody doing things the same way. That way, when the new person comes in, there's no, well, you can do it this way, even though they're saying it that.
Ms. Ness?
So I guess I don't feel like the whole job description thing is, I leave that to the commission and the commission members. We have in this county the highest rate of successful disability claims in the state of Illinois. This VAC prosecutes and successfully gets benefits for veterans at the highest rate in the state. That is something primary to me, that whoever sits in your chair, I don't care, I don't think they need to do outreach in case, quite frankly, this to me is a significant service that veterans get from this VAC. And I am sure, because I know the VAC members, that I will say this to them 10,000 times. Somebody who sits in your chair has to be able to prosecute successfully these disability claims just like we do now. Because getting a disability claim is a slog. It's a slog. I mean, you get denied multiple times. Unless you have somebody in that chair who really knows how to prosecute before the adjudicating board, you will walk away and quit. But I'm applied for disability, and I can't tell you the number of times that Mike has just called and said, it's in this, it's going here, it's here, get ready, they're gonna deny you, you're gonna have to do this. Knowing, and I know that they do that for every veteran that comes through the VAC that's applying. That is so important to me. So that would be something that whoever sits in that chair has to be willing to go to the mat to get disability benefits for veterans. And I think you have enough staff people that can do the outreach, and, you know, as the VAC grows, you add more people. That's just my perspective. Okay, that piece be embedded in whoever sits in the chair.
And that particular piece was made a priority by the VAC back in 2005.
Yeah, and I think you've done an excellent job at it, and your veteran service officers who work on disabilities do an excellent job. So, yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Anything else?
I have one question.
Oh, good. I hope I have a really long answer.
Or maybe it's two, but right now, it looks like there's a $100,000 increase in the expense. But year to date, we're at about $461,000. Do you think there's gonna be, do you anticipate there being, like, I guess, ramped up funding in the second half of the year compared to the first half of the year?
Okay, what you're looking at is, well, for some of the stuff, especially with training, we get a lot of our trainings at the end of the year, September, October. I have staff that are going to not only continuing education classes, but we're also teaming up with the townships for general assistance training and that kind of thing. So more training is gonna be anticipated next year on top of the training we already gotta do this year. Another thing that happened is we were delayed in implementing the new, the new tables that we use for financial assistance. Okay, those tables need to be adjusted. They're based on Health and Human Services numbers, Housing and Urban Development numbers. When it came out and you adjusted for inflation, it actually went up about 27%.
Okay.
And one of the clues that we have on what's going on in that is we're starting to see more people denied. So we're seeing more people having a need. And this program just finally got updated. We try to usually have it done in April, and there was a lot of delays in it. And this one finally got done a week ago, or was that this week? Monday. Yeah, they finally got it done this Monday. So it's working now. So, but it took a while for them to get the new tables in. So yes, we anticipate those numbers to go up. There's also a couple hits in that are gonna be like a one and done. Like, we're not gonna replace the front door every year.
And would that be under like the contractual line item?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was my next question is.
It's contractual and professional services. 'Cause, yeah, and I was working with Carrie, who's online and muted herself, and apparently I got it in the wrong line item.
Okay.
So it should be under capital. And then there's a service to be working with a company to help us better reach the people who need our services.
Okay, because that was just one of my questions, because in 2022, it looks like there's 55,000 spent on contractual, 2023, 114,000. Then this year, we appropriated was 323,000, but we were only at like 94,000 today. And for next year, we're budgeting 415, so I just wasn't sure if we're expecting, essentially in that line item are some capital expenditure projects. Okay.
Anything else? I scheduled the entire morning. I can sit here till noon if you like.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a consensus to move this forward from everyone? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Seeing no other reports, future topics. I know we have a number of budget reviews coming up, so if there's any other items that anybody really wants to see discussed in the next couple.
I'm just cueing the committee and you. I think that periodically we should hear from the Public Health Board on how the ARPA money is moving forward on all those projects that we just approved. I don't know if they want to do that quarterly or half year, but I think that we should get a report on that so that we are aware.
Yeah, I think
That's a great idea. Okay, well, seeing no need for executive session, Mr. Austin.
Before you adjourn.
Before we adjourn.
If I may, I wanted to acknowledge Amara wave. Amara's here. This is her last day as a volunteer intern this summer. But she's done great work for us. I want to say thank you. She's developed an inventory of county services that's going to be real helpful for us. It's not an inventory of departments, but it's an inventory of the services that the departments provide. It's alphabetized. It's going to be a nice tool. She's heading off to American University in a couple of weeks. She'll be a freshman. Where my son is a senior at American. She's going off to DC to be a freshman. So I want to thank her and wish her the best.
I just find it sad that you're leaving and it's an indication that half the summer's over.
Yeah.
more than half the summer's over.
Kids go back to school in 10 days, so.
I know.
So how will this
volunteering. That was a
list
good
be
way to spend
utilized and?
this time.
I think it'll be,
Been at
it'll
the
be
beach.
principally online. A reminder.
Gloria.
She was incredibly efficient.
You know,
Everything.
township offices and legislators.
Very impressive work.
They used to do that, didn't they? Give me an orange book or something that.
Yellow book.
Yellow book?
Yeah, this is better.
I'm
It's
sure,
a
yeah.
lot more attractive.
Well, and
Yeah.
easier to gain access
And
to.
like I
You
said,
don't have to have a book.
it's alphabetized for the person who doesn't know what they're looking for. You know, I'm gonna look up birth certificates, I'm gonna look under B, not C for county clerk. You know?
Ah.
Got it, yeah.
Great.
So more
Thank you.
user-friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Ms. Altough?